negative 1 is 2.7. So when your x is negative, it reflects over the y-axis. You're done. That's it. That's all we're going to do is we draw that one point and just approximate what this thing looks like. It's a sketch. Right? It's a sketch. All right. Letter B. 3e to the x plus 1. All right. So horizontal asymptote, starting point. What do you think? Horizontal is y equals 1. Starting point, 0, 1. E to the 0, and then 1. So y equals 1. 0, 1. Now, what's the one point we graph? Over, up. For e, the only point we graph is 0, 1, right? 0, 1. But what does a number in front do? It multiplies. When you have a number in front of the exponential, you multiply by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. So instead of going up 0, 1, instead of going up 1, how much are we going to go up? 3. So go up 3, 1, 2, 3. That the number in front of the exponential, remember, it makes it go faster up. Right, so it looks like that. It kind of expands faster. That's the only difference. Okay, and we're done. All right, so that's the first half of the lesson. You ready for the second half? All right, no? Too bad. All right, inverse functions. What is an inverse function? It's a function that undoes, I know that's a real great word, another function. And the real definition is if f and g are inverses if f of g of x equals x. Right? So it undoes itself. All right, let's look at an example over here. F of x equals x squared. What's the inverse? What undoes a square? A square root. Okay. So those are inverses because when you plug 3 in, 3 squared, square root of 3 squared is 9, square root of 9 is 3. You get back to where you start if you do both of them. All right? All right. So let's look at this for a second. We have y equals x squared and y equals radical x. How do you get rid of a radical? Right? Square both sides. So you get x equals y squared. Right? So that's pretty close. I mean, there is when you square something, it kind of does change it a little bit. But basically, these are inverses. What's the difference between those two graphs? Their x and y are reversed. The x's and the y's are reversed. That's how you find an inverse function. You reverse your x's and y's. Do not change the signs. The signs of the numbers do not change. The signs of the numbers do not change. All you're doing is reversing your x and your y. Okay. I lost it. Where's my next page? There it is. All right, so 2 to the x. Start with our basic, right? We know how to graph this. We've graphed this a ton of times. What is the horizontal asymptote? Y equals 0. Starting point, 0, 0, and shift. 0, 1, 2, 3. All right. 2 to the 0 is 1. 2 to the first is 2. 2 to the second is 4. 2 to the third is 8. Right? Let's graph it. Just a basic function. Starting point is 0, 0. 0, 1. 1, 2. 2, 4. 3, 8. Right, so that's our 2 to the x. Now, to find its inverse, what is the main rule for finding an inverse? We're going to reverse our x's and our y's. So if we have 0, 1, just reverse them. 1, 0. 1, 2, reverse them. 2, 1. 2, 4, reverse. Reverse, reverse. 3, 8, 8, 3. Okay. Now, we're reversing a horizontal asymptote. How do you reverse that? What's the opposite of a horizontal asymptote? A vertical asymptote. So the inverse has a vertical asymptote. Switch the x's and y's. So instead of y, it's x. Now this number stays the same. This number does not change. If this was a 7, this would still be a 7. And then your starting point, it's kind of silly because it's 0, 0. It stays the same at 0, 0. Okay? All right, so let's graph this. I wish I had another color. I can use a marker. I'll use a marker. All right, so my vertical asymptote this time is 0, 0. Now, since we're doing these on the same axes, I really highly recommend drawing the asymptote in. You're going to mess it up. Starting point is 0, 0 again. This time I'm going right 1 up 0. Right 1 up 0. Right 2 up 1. Right 4 up 2. Right 8 up 3. All right, now here's the bad part. This is what messes with kids. This part. They get that and then they don't know what to do with the rest of the graph. Do not cross that line. We get close to it, but we do not cross it. That's your graph. Notice my blue graph, my exponential, goes up really fast